Hello, my classy people. Wayne Bolden. I'm here at the Speed King channel, and we are literally 7 days out from this year's Breeders' Cup World Championship. Of course, Friday the 31st and the 1st of November. Tip sheets are available. Please get your orders in. We're doing a ton of work here. Email us speedking24@yahoo.com. Both days are $35. Okay, one day is 20. You save $5. You buy both days. You support your local king, Speed King, for sure. Hey, so we're going to take a profile look at another classic contender, Breeders' Cup Classic contender, Forever Young, the Japan horse. Okay. But before we do, I do want to send a shout out to all of y'all for your classy response on the question about the retirees, being announced before, the whole thing there. And I want to give a shout out to Frank S., I believe, who did get back to me on another horse that did win after announcing, and I verified it. American Pharaoh did, I believe, in 2015 for sure. And of course, Arrogate was announced and didn't, and we knew that. So Frank, thanks so much. I'll add American Pharaoh as doesn't apply to in this case, so we need data on both sides. We'll add it for as we go forward and collect more data. And a shout out to my girl, Miss Diane B, up there in Wolverine Country, Michigan. Right? Hi, Miss D. The girls are in town. Well, let's take a look at, obviously, Forever Young. Now, the Japanese, Japan is getting a lot better at this, y'all. Obviously, we know the European runners with the Aidan O'Briens and the Charles Applebys like that, and the Thaddeys and like that, and of course the American horses. But I think it takes a look at the Japanese horse. I think they have 9 in this year, and a couple of them are really, really good. Maybe I'll touch base on them. I tell you right now, there's one in that Maddie race on the, the Maddie, Senator Maddie race on two-year-old day on Friday. That's a very, very nice horse. But maybe we'll touch base a little bit about some of the other Japan runners. But it is worth noting that they are getting very, very good, and they do own 2 Breeders' Cup trophies from 2021. They didn't win anything last year, and one of those winners in 2021 was Marcher Lorraine at 49-1, which I should have had $2 on because my sister's name was Lorraine. We had just lost her, and but again, it is what it is when it comes to horse racing, of course. But Forever Young is by Real Still, on the back end by Congrats. Now, when we look at his bloodline, obviously bred in Japan, this one, Real Still was a very, very nice horse who ended up winning, I think, 4 wins from 17 starts, 5 seconds, and 2 thirds, okay? And Real Still was by a Deep Impact, going back to Sunday Silence, Halo, like that. Which is really, really good. So Real Still is a very, very nice sire over there in Japan. And the nice thing about the sire of Forever Young, Forever Darling, who was by Congrad, and Congrad was by A.P. Indy, and A.P. Indy was by the great, again, Seattle Slew here. So this horse is bred, Forever Young is bred for speed, and most of all for classic distance, for stamina. His record obviously speaks for itself. 9 wins from 12 starts and 3 thirds, I believe it is, for sure. And that horse has never not hit the board, right? So he's won over 75% of his races for such a young horse, and 3 of them 3 thirds. Now, for a cool $15.7 million US dollars, that's what it converts into. And again, you don't win that kind of money without being some kind of special. Now, we know that he's raced here in the States, obviously in the Derby, back there last year, and obviously Mystic Dan won that race, and Sierra Leone ran second Forever Young ran third. Now, he could have had a better post position that day, and him and Sierra Leone was shoulder to shoulder, and he did get his back end knocked out from under him by Sierra Leone. It was all clean though, and but he ran a great race, one of his thirds that he ran on his record. And his second race here in the States, I think there's something to look at there for sure, because in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, we all know how that race turned out, and we all know that this horse ran a fantastic race in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, breaking from the one hole for sure, and Sierra Leone winning it with that big looping stride. And of course, Fierceness ran second, stalking the number 6 horse, the other Japan horse, Demo Satako, all the way around the track, who was 40-1. But if you look close, folks, in that race, and this is why I wish horse racing would give us the race from the sky, the top view, because you recognize a couple things there. First, you always recognize, well, they look like they're close together a lot, but there's a lot of room, a lot of real estate out there on the racetrack, right? That the horses, you know, they're pretty far. I mean, they got room to maneuver. The overhead shot really gives you a beautiful look of the race, right? And once in a while you'll get it. I found a place where you can actually look at the races from above. And if you look at that race, that the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, if you look at that race, Forever Young had a beautiful post position, pretty much the same tracking he had as Mystic Dan did in the Derby earlier in May that year. He broke on the rail, he saved all the ground, and they were cooking up front. Like I said, that Demo Satako was flying. I think they went 22-44 and 109 to the 3/4, and Fierceness was right there on the outside of the Speedster Demo horse, the other Japan horse. But Forever Young was tucked down there on the rail, and what made it so interesting is right after the 3/4 pole and before the half-mile call, you can only see this from the headshot. He went to go through the fading 6 horse, Demo Satako, and on the outside of him was Arthur's Ride, right? Is that horse trained by Billy Mott? But anyway, what happened when he went to go between them, Arthur Ride and Demo kind of pinched him, and him and Arthur Ride bumped once or twice, right? I didn't know that until I looked at that race from overhead, right? And you can see where the jock set back down on him twice, And in the meantime, Sierra Leone, no disrespect, running into a very, very fast pace, got a beautiful trip by Flavia Pratt, was motoring and went right by him. And of course, Fierceness held on for second. So I think that did impact him. He saved all the grounds, right? So his 2 U.S. races, in my opinion, he could have had a better post position in the Derby, obviously, breaking from the 10 or to the 11, I believe the 11 hole. He was the 11 horse breaking from the 10 post, could have had a better tracking, and he had some trouble in that race as well. But if you could ever go and look at the rerun, they don't show it right away. You have to let the race finish, and then they'll give you the headshot. You'll see where Forever Young in the Breeders' Cup Classic try to go between Demo Satako and Arthur's Ride, and him and Arthur Ride kind of bumped, and the jock did his thing there, which obviously lost a little momentum. I'm not saying that's the reason that the horse would have won or lost the race, but it does take worth noting that he didn't have a clean trip that day for sure, and nothing was stopping Sierra Leone on the outside with the great ride that Flavia Pratt gave Sierra that day, and Fierceness was right there on the top of the lead. So those were clearly, to me, the 2 best horses in that race that day, Fierceness, and of course the eventual winner at 6-1, Sierra Leone. Now, Fierceness was the favorite, and Forever Young was 4-1. Now, that having said all of that, when you look at this horse, if you think Rebel's Romance is a globetrotter, this horse obviously was undefeated at 2 years old, was one of the best, or is not the best 2-year-old that Japan has ever seen. And then, this horse went to Saudi Cup, went to the Middle East, went over to Medan, obviously to the U.S., Tokyo, back to Tokyo, of course to the States, like that. And if you look at his biggest wins, they're really second to none, if you ask me. Of course, the Saudi Derby, this horse won the UAE Derby, and of course the Japan Dirt Classic in 2024, and the Tokyo race. I mean, so this horse in 12 starts just continues to just take on different surfaces at different distances, never ran less than a mile. And it's just right. This horse is a real globetrotter, and I don't think anything bothers him. So I think he does deserve to have some attention, if for no other reason. At 3 years old, we've seen him run third to our top two horses, or one of our top or two horses in the country, Fierceness and Sierra Leone, who needs no introduction. And that's quite a feat, okay? Now, you're bringing that thing, if he has a better post in the Derby, would it been different? I mean, we would be having a very different conversation if that horse would have won the Derby, and he's only a half length or a length behind. And it's the same thing in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I just picked this up the other day, that this horse had trouble, but the only way you can see it is from the overhead. It's after the 3/4 when they win in 109 and 4, and before the mile pole, which they win in 135 and 0, right? And he went between those horses. He was jostled and bumped, and I don't know, maybe you guys knew that already, but it was news to me, and the only way is because I seen it overhead. Where's my Japan folder? No, you don't have a Japan folder. I do got a Japan folder on all the runners, by the way, that's coming in from Japan, which is 9 of them. And so if you ask me, what do I think? I think that the horse deserves a good look, a long look. One thing's for sure, he was a 3-year-old, and he is better as a 4-year-old, or at least he should be, bigger, stronger, and filled out. We know he's fast, we know he has stamina, and he should be better at 4 than he was at 3. Now, this year, the horse obviously only has 3 races to his credit. 2 of them was wins and another third. Of course, winning the Saudi Cup, and nothing happened in the Dubai World Cup for him there. And of course, coming back into Japan at the high stakes and winning that on October 1st. So he's got a 4-week break in between that race and this race. I hope that jockey, Sika, let me see how you spell that jock's name. I don't know how to say his name. Sakai, something like that, who's a world-class rider over there. So that being said, as we profile Forever Young, he clearly looked like he's going to be valued to us here in the U.S. Because overseas, sovereignty is just off the board in the marketplace for them. But I just think that, if you look at the totality and the body of work of Forever Young, Japan is getting good at this stuff, y'all. They're getting better at it. And of course, they buy a lot of horses from over here. They do have one running in the Sprint American stage, no pun intended. He will be on the American stage, who was bred here in Kentucky, I think by Into Mischief. But back to Forever Young. Hey, let's have a discussion. I mean, this horse has 3 starts this year and has won $11 million. Obviously, it's the Saudi Cup that did it. But again, you go from continent to continent to continent with a young horse like this. Most of these races of the 12 has been as a 2-year-old or as a 3-year-old going to these different places, different surfaces, different distance, and different environment and shipping. Nothing bothers this horse. I mean, that's the first indication that I get. Nothing bothers him. Nothing knocks him out. I don't care if it's a mile and a quarter, a mile and the eighth. I don't think he's ever won at a mile and a quarter. I think he did though, at a mile and the eighth. Okay, and if you look at his 2 U.S. races, I can make a case that he had trouble in the Derby. I know the post position didn't hurt him. I mean, help him. I know the post position didn't help him, and he was bumped in that race. Coming down the lane with Sierra Leone. And if you go and look at the overhead shot of last year's Breeders' Cup Classic, I'm telling you, right after the 3/4 pole, in between the 3/4 pole and the mile call, him trying to split that Sakaka horse and Arthur's Ride, the jock set back down on this horse twice to check him and getting his back end bump like in the Derby. It caused some momentum. I'm not saying it would have changed the outcome, but you would have liked to see a clean trip. He saved all the ground in the Breeders' Club. So I'm not making a case for him here. I'm just speaking the obvious of what I see. What we have here is a 4-year-old returning from a great finish in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year as a baby 3-year-old. So he should be bigger and stronger. We already know that he's fast and he has stamina. He's won 9 races out of 12 starts for a cool $15 million. And I don't know if any of our American horses could travel the globe the way that this horse do and perform like that. So when I look at this horse overall, I do think that we should at least give him high praise for competing on the world stage the way that he do at such a young age. Globetrotter, yeah, Rebel Romance is. This horse goes to a lot of different places, y'all, and deserve it. And he's back for an encore for sure this year. The one thing that I do know, we should get fair value. If anyone likes this horse, he should be 6-1 or 8-1 in that realm, and that's pretty good if you ask me. So let's have a healthy discussion about Forever Young as we, turn the spotlight up on Japan's horses. Not that we might bet them or not bet them, but we should at least know they're in the race instead of passing over them, which I'm not suggesting anyone's doing that. But I do think that they have some viable options this year, and I think Forever Young is a serious contender from the top view of this thing, for sure. And the horse that I was talking about in that Maddie Stakes is Pure Magic, right? That is the turf sprint on 2-year-old Future Star Day. I think that horse got a great shot. And I also think that that Invincible Papa, right? Man, you go look at that horse. That Invincible Papa is running in the turf sprint. And I do believe that horse has a shot, okay? This is a 4-year-old with 6 starts, with 6 wins from 10 starts, 1 second and 1 third, and this is a very fast and nice horse. That's in the sprint, Invincible Papa. I think I want to put a few dollars on that horse. And then the trainer of Forever Young has that Switch in Love in the juvenile filly, and I think that horse as well. Where's Switch in Love? Right there is by Conrail on the back end by Galileo, a very young 2-year-old with only 1 win. But I've seen some splits on this horse that is very good, and is the same trainer as the great Forever Young. And one more note on Forever Young. The thing that really got me about this horse when I did start doing research on all the Japan runners the last two days, I've been working on my folder, because I do that, right? I isolate, okay, let's look at all the Japan runners and give them that kind of love, or at least to see what they are. And I owe it to myself and you as a handicapper. And the one thing that I found out about Forever Young, this is where I believe my database, my algorithm, which I paid for some 8 years ago, on what I wanted, I like to call it turn times, right? And other people call it splits, but I shrink it in different parts of the race because I want to know the turn of these horses. Hey, Forever Young has a turn time, and I know Sierra Leone has a burst of speed, providing that he's set up. Right? Hey, nice